there's Craig.
All right, we're live.
All right, thank you. The time is 5:02, and with us this evening is Kim Van Beck, Craig Schulte, Ben Peters, Bill Lovis, myself, Michael Gary, Michael Roth. That's it, it's Mike to Michael. That's what always gets me. I can't flip that part. All right, the important stuff. Okay, we are all here. Is there anyone in the empty chair that is here for open forum this evening? Okay, and with that, I'll move on to our City Hall and Liquor Store project update.
Yay.
Good evening, everyone. My name's John Hagenmiller with McGough Construction again. I am the site superintendent for the new City Hall and Municipal Liquor Store project. And I just want to come here to give you a quick update on where our progress is today. Currently, we are about 95% completed with the sheetrock and about 60% completed with the taping of the sheetrock. We have about 40% of the ceramic wall tile installed, but not grouted. We've started painting this week, so we've hit some small areas like mechanical rooms, electrical rooms, just to get the other trade partners in there as quick as possible so they can do a lot of their work. And we've started the mechanical and electrical finishes. Actually, excuse me, we start that next week if the rooms are painted. And that's setting of equipment, electrical panels, and doing finished conduiting into the panels. And then after that, we'll start pulling wire. We are finished with, well, tomorrow we'll finish with the small canopy roof outside of the City Hall. We're waiting on a design change from the architect. We got that, and now we're completing that, so we'll be 100% waterproof on the upside. We still have windows to come in. We've completed the brick pavers. We're about 75% complete on the exterior siding. We're starting windows midweek next week, and then following probably for the next week and a half to 2 weeks. The only thing is our last 2 or 4 storefronts, if you want to call them, those are for the liquor store on the exterior and in the vestibule. Those, we're trying to improve the delivery date, and the only date I have is first part of January. So we're trying to improve that so we can get things buttoned up and operational. And that's about it. Again, feel free to stop by, take a tour. It's nice to see some people down there. And
What's the paint color?
We got a lot of different ones.
Inside?
Safety
Oh.
yellow.
She's onto your tricks, though, John.
She is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
And is the box all secured somewhere?
it's secured. Can't tell you where, but yes, it is. No,
He can tell you where.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where. Offline. Offline.
There you go.
So that's everything. I just want to wish everyone a good Thanksgiving, and if you're traveling, safe travels.
All right.
Same to
Thanks,
you.
John.
Have a wonderful
Staying here.
Thanksgiving. You're staying here?
Yep.
Very nice.
I got some people coming up.
Oh, everyone wants to visit you.
Yes. So,
Enjoy.
thank you again.
Thank
Good,
you.
Thanks, John.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Any questions about the minutes or bills?
The consent agenda.
Second? Thank you.
Great.
All right, roll call for approval of the consent agenda. Craig?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
All right, moving right along to the second
Cannabis.
reading of the Cannabis Ordinance 2024-03.
So we weren't looking at any changes except for the distance, right? From our last,
Can you put that up on the screen, Patrick? Are you up there? I'm sharing.
Was there something about the ordinance at the bottom, or? no,
Yeah, we'll cover that.
That was
the
the only other
last-
part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
answering your question.
And just a quick jump ahead, we're not planning on changing that right now. So here is You can look on your small screens, I think, if you want to get a
Right.
better view of it. We're sharing this for everyone. The blue shaded area is the original 1,000 feet from schools, 500 feet from other things. And now you can see the new purple and orange lines. Purple being 500 feet. Of course, you only see that around the schools because everything else was 500 feet. And then the orange is
okay.
300 feet.
All right. Got it.
No, that lower one, I know we talked about it, but that's the rec park, right? Oh, because the
'Cause of
ball
the ball
fields.
field.
Ball
Yeah.
field and the
Oh, that's
playground are the two dots in there that are generating a buffer
Okay.
zone.
What did the park boards, did they?
This is completely irrelevant to that area. This buffer is for retail sales and there aren't any allowed there.
That's right, it's not use, it's just retail, okay.
Yeah.
Forgot, sorry, thank you.
All right. So the orange is the 500, right?
300.
The
Or
blue
300.
I think.
area
Right.
was 1,000 around schools. Just
Yeah.
focus on the schools for now.
Yeah.
The purple line is 500 feet, and then the orange dotted line is, I think really the only one, though, that would change for is probably the vacant space right on the northwest corner of the intersection that Steve Sports has used for parking right now.
Okay.
Because the other side of the street is a brand-new building for a plumbing business, so it's probably not going to turn into a retail store anytime soon. If you head up to the business park, that's the other place we talked about, 500 feet. It cuts off the Baptist Church's entire property, I guess the Cornerstone Community Church. They're not calling themselves that anything, so sorry about that, but I don't think that's going to be an issue for them to be included in the buffer zone. And then it does just cut right into the corner and takes about a third of the lot that's right on the corner out of play. I think zoning-wise, you could still fit a building in there if you wanted to, but it seems less likely that someone would use that lot. And then if you use the orange dotted line, all the properties in the business park except for the Cornerstone Community Church property would be eligible to do this.
And that would be the same if you had the purple one, it's still just the church?
And just right on the corner, it's really hard to see the lot line, but there is a triangular shaped lot on the east side of the Business Park Road that is cut in, it looks like about a third, two-thirds.
Oh,
A third
okay.
in the little
Yeah.
triangle to the left and two-thirds to the right. So that lot, you could potentially still locate a business if it was not, if the building wasn't inside of that buffer area. But it's less likely that somebody would do that.
All right, thoughts? $300, $500, or $1,000? Going, gone.
I'd support 500, reducing it to 500 from the school and just keeping everything the same at 500.
Yeah.
Bill?
1,000.
Okay. Craig? Any thoughts? Uh-oh, is he muted?
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I think that 500 is, pretty good for what's currently available, currently what we see on the map that we have now.
Okay. Bill, did you want to say something about your thoughts for the 1,000?
Well, I don't think we need to make it any easier to bring this stuff in. And I hear a lot of talk about concern about your neighborhood. That's my neighborhood. So this puts it potentially directly across from my driveway.
Oh, are you up 7?
Nope, down on the lake.
Oh, okay.
And we pay a pretty good property tax to be there, and I really don't like to see something like that coming into the neighborhood.
Now, is the south side zone just residential or no? It's, part of that is commercial?
Yeah, I think that is the, well, what was the RC? What is it? It's the
Commercial mixed use.
commercial mix.
Mixed use.
It transitions, yeah.
I'm opening the zoning map.
So I think, I mean, should we take the approach of
Everything on the south side
what,
is residentially zoned
Oh, okay.
of Highway 61.
Okay.
From, basically from IGA to the Old Shore Road,
Oh, okay.
the second Old Shore.
Well, they're
Road.
not going to be able to retail there anyway.
No, there wouldn't be any retail on the south side. The north side is the one that's mixed use and would allow
Mixed
retail.
use, yeah, okay.
All right. And I guess I kind of go back to my kind of reverse logic again. The school didn't seem to have problems locating close to a place that was selling cigarettes. The youth center didn't seem to be mind that it was close to a liquor store and other people, I mean, it's just kind of hard to, and we're so small,
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of do this. Would anyone like further discussion or comments? Would anyone like to make, do we want to motion everything at once, Mike, or?
I think we,
Because
I
you said
think
you wanted
if
to
you
talk
wanna
about the bottom.
Just, let's go with make a decision about the buffer distances first with the
Okay.
motion, and then we'll talk about the bottom quick.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion for the buffer?
I would make that motion for the 500 feet for all.
Okay, would anyone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm going to take a roll call on this. Ben?
Aye.
Bill?
No,
Aye?
Aye.
Craig?
aye,
All right, thank you all.
So that is 115.16A minimum buffer requirements, and the only thing we changed was the school went from 1,000 feet to 500 feet, the others are the same.
Correct.
Because they were at.
Yep,
yeah,
they were at
yeah,
500
which is
feet.
what Ben had said last time, to keep them to be, okay. So then there was the last, and that's at
What
the
was-
bottom of the ordinance, right?
The very last section, 115.28, prohibited acts by underage persons. We're recommending leaving it as it is right now. This is just cut and pasted right out of the county's ordinance. I don't know if we're sure it needs to be here or not, but it doesn't hurt to be here, and it was our intent to have the same penalties and rules that the county does, and this was something that they had noticed as a missing piece from the state's rules, so
Okay.
just as soon keep it in for now.
All right, and, yeah, they,
Was it in last time?
Yeah.
So it was part of the first reading?
It was in the first reading, it was just a question of, well, does this belong here? And
Okay.
I think it's a fair, like, is this the right place in our city code for it to live? It's a bit of a non sequitur, but I think it, whether we want to modify it or move it or something at a later date, this is one of the things I'd put on the list of changes I'd expect to occur in this ordinance as, because we still have 0 businesses. We just don't know enough yet to be sure that everything's right. So I guess I'd expect us to revisit this.
and then, for just a moment, trying to remember where in here, we did get communications from Grace Grenager today, wanting,
About inspections?
yeah, about inspections and compliance, and hoping that the city and county could work that together, and that their process right now is that Health and Human Services does the compliance checks, and the sheriff's office does the enforcement. And I'm having a moment of not understanding the difference, because a compliance check is an enforcement piece, isn't it? Where am I not grabbing on that?
I think the compliance checks is more about, is everything set up the way the ordinance is meant to be set up? And the age verification checks are different. And then enforcement actions based on any of it is different. So what our ordinance says is that city staff will do compliance checks, and all we're doing is verifying that things are set up the way our ordinance requires, and that the sheriff's office will do the age verification.
Okay.
I feel okay about volunteering them for that since we have a contract with them to do law enforcement services, and they're already doing that sort of activity. I think we're happy to cooperate with the county on any of it, any way they want to, but I didn't think we wanted to codify that they would be doing something on our behalf. And
Sure.
so even if it says in here that city staff are doing it, I think it would be okay for us to farm that out to the county if they were interested in participating in that. So that just, I think it leaves it open for that conversation to
Station.
continue.
So we don't need to do anything tonight to
Yeah.
get ready for that. Okay, yeah, whatever it may be, because there's more to that from Grace's thing
Okay.
she wants to talk about,
Yeah,
so
we'll
we'll
talk
see.
about it at the next
Okay.
cannabis committee meeting.
All
Okay,
right.
and I just wanted to ask one question. So Mike, I had mentioned before, reading about, checking for age verification, but that would really be on the sheriff's office to figure that out, to find the 18-year-old or whoever to go in and do all that kind of stuff? Or is that part of the compliance?
It's actually,
that's right.
it's something that's already done alcohol-wise,
Okay.
and maybe even tobacco-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this is new or difficult to figure
Right.
out. They've already got it figured out.
So the sheriff does?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't do it ourselves, so.
We just do the licensing or?
Yeah, because they do the tobacco checks.
So ours is more like, where is it located, where is the?
Yeah, did you
know-
follow the signage? Did you
Yeah.
meet the buffer zones?
Mhm.
Is your
Are you
storage
handing it
set
out
up
to
correctly?
5-year-olds?
Yeah, just, kind of a general, and there might be a lot of us doing that, right? The state already came through and did that type of inspection for the low potency folks that are registered through the state.
Mm,
So it's,
Okay.
I don't expect that to be a difficult process, at least for us. The things that we're looking at verifying, there's not a lot of them.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, and they put together these online forms now. They're already all set up, so we don't even have to, create the forms. That's what's
Mhm.
in, did you look at
was-
that?
I
Yeah.
was reading the things in there, I was like, what?
So that helps, and they've got the age checklist form as well. So, yeah, it should work pretty well that way. Felt good about that. Okay, so with that,
Oh,
yes?
I was just thinking
Oh,
about this thing, the local unit of government cannabis licensing contact and delegation form. Is that?
That's Mike's going to do that.
Yeah, we got that.
So then
Okay,
we'll be set
gotcha.
up with their software for when those licenses come through. And I believe you probably work with that for, I don't know, is that the one you also, send in your notes about complaints? There's a
Well, yeah,
process
that's, I
to-
think so.
Yeah, you do kind of do everything, I think, through that portal. That's. our
Oh, yeah,
main-
that's right, because we have to say like they're in good standing or whatever.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
do that, but also I think if there is a complaint later, I don't know if you use that, if there's another way you communicate
Hmm.
to let them know if there's been any issues with a retail operation, because it's up to them to come and inspect it and track all that, so. Okay, so with that, would anyone like to make a motion for ordinance 2024-03 with the change to the buffer zone?
I would make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. Craig?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye?
Aye. Bill?
No,
Aye. Ben?
Aye.
All right, and with that, ordinance 2024-03 passes. So we will be meeting with the sheriff and Grace and Molly. We're going to have a little off meeting to talk about those little details.
Okay.
Kind of,
And Molly's done in January, is that true?
into December, I
Yeah,
think,
December,
that's
yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, but
end
yeah,
of
you're
year.
right, December,
I was like trying
January,
to think, because she
something
had
like that.
mentioned that somebody would have to, like Jean.
Yep. Okay, so the text me service proposal.
Yeah. We've been talking with TextMyGov, and Tracy, you mentioned that you were looking at New York Mills, and they happen to be the same vendor for them, about a texting platform that would allow us, city staff, to send messages to any subscribers in non-emergency situations or like pre-planned outages or any type of thing we want to communicate in a non-emergency situation. We'd be able to send a message to subscribers, but then also included in this package is what they call the iPause system, and that lets us do like an emergency blanket message to anyone in an area. So if there was like something more serious that we wanted to get a message out to, we'd have access to anyone within the area that we define. But it also lets citizens report issues as well. For example, they can take a photo of like a pothole or a tree on a power line or something like that, and it'll step by step say where are you, describe the situation, and leave a phone number, etc. So yeah, the package gives us a lot of options for creating different subscriber groups that we could play with however we, I think it would take some trial and error and iteration to figure out the best way to get people involved. But they also included a package for the first year to really like do some help with marketing and create some of the material. Like they've already created videos and they can just slap our logo in there and make it a little more custom to Grand Marais, but they've done the work of recording and creating the animations and all that to make it easy to understand how to use it. So I don't know if you had any other questions about it.
So let's say your example, when someone does send something in, tree down on a power line, where does that go to?
It'll create a email. We'll have an email that will send it to like all the office staff to notify us that somebody sent something in.
And then you have a process that says this will be responded to in at this, we respond within whatever amount of time.
Yeah.
And then does it just, so you respond through that system, or do you respond through, like you give them a phone call, or, depending on what the situation is?
We would, like, the reporting part has like you create a script that it goes through and it'll tell them, okay, it'll handle that part automatically, but then whenever somebody receives the email, then we go into the system and we can communicate back and forth with them. So they'll be texting and we'll be on a computer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just, software is great, but then there's still the human process piece, like
Right.
timely response.
Yeah.
Who feels responsible? Like no one says, no, isn't mine.
Yeah.
To deal with. And then I think the marketing thing, because that's kind of been the issue around getting some kind of efficient way to let people know about things, especially the unexpected, has been how do we get these people to sign up and subscribe, especially with the number of people we have that don't live here.
I should also mention that they have a connection with the Postal Service somehow to like scrub. So they'll also start us out with a database they scrub some of that information as well.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be, but I think it's still, we want to market it as well.
As much as possible.
Yeah.
Sell. Sort of like the old days of selling band calendars and candy bars and whatever else
Yeah.
out there. Maybe that's what we do, offer treats
Yeah.
to everyone
That
who
would work.
subscribes.
We'll have sign-up sheets for the 5 of you ready to go in a couple months, and you can start knocking on doors.
Yeah.
This is going to be great.
Can we have like a little cardboard box that we bring with us?
Contest.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll have to have a prize for who gets the most subscribers.
Yeah. I'm in on this. That's starting to sound better. Was there anything about this that gave you pause at all? That you,
No,
Sure,
I mean, it doesn't seem like a silver bullet to me. I think it's just broadening what we're doing, but it's a great way to broaden that. I think text messages are like very easy to access, so it's a nice tool. You don't have to download an app. Most people have texting native to their phone. No, I don't, I think it's worth a try. It is a 3-year commitment to that 3,500.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the initial 5,000 for the first year, so, but it seems worth a try at that price to me.
Sure. Well, and I've been places and people have said, how am I supposed to know to look on Boreal or, some of the things you've been doing, so, which is more than we used to. But to me, sending something directly to someone, or like if it's a retail operation, they can all be signed up. So whoever happens to be there that day or whatever, when the power's going to go out for 15 minutes and they can't run their credit cards, somebody should be able to. It isn't like it'll be limited to like just one person
Right.
at a location.
And the sign up will also have, like, on our website, you'll be able to go there to sign up as well. So it'll be accessible to anyone who wants it.
Is there, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter, maybe the sheriff in certain emergencies, they already get to everybody, but is there any way they could benefit, like tap into this to get those kind of emergency messages out that they might have?
Well,
Or is
they
theirs
have Code Red right now.
that does that?
That's
Okay.
that's one of my concerns is how much of this is really redundant with that, and are there already folks signed up for that in town that won't sign up for this because it seems like they've already got it. But Code Red isn't really for us to do this type of communication. It's for emergencies,
Yeah.
and emergencies is really only a small part of what we'll use this for. We'll try to use this to get the word out about as much things as we can.
I created just a short, PUC outages, so electrical and water outages, open houses, like the tree inventory, or like Highway 61 open houses, things like that, to give examples of board openings, public hearings, ordinance changes, and then seasonal reminders like parking, things like that, is what I think we'd want to use this for. I don't think we want to do everything, because in my own experience, like when I have apps that notify me about stuff I'm not interested in, eventually I start turning off the notifications. So I think we want to keep it to like the real
Definitely, yeah.
specific things, but I think it'll be very useful for those things.
Well, and even, not that we have lots of building, but like with that Norriscogan with those roads, well, it would be nice to just even get the residents close by to know
Yeah.
that.
And that's we can create specific groups too. That doesn't have to. Not every message has to go to everyone. We can create localized groups or specific special interest groups or things like that.
Okay, good.
Right.
All right. Are you asking for approval for that? Or-
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion for approval to purchase and utilize TextMe service? Is it TextMe.gov?
TextMyGov.
TextMyGov.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that better than the first one. on the sheet, but-
Text me, Gov. I could make that motion.
All right, a second?
I'll
Anyone?
second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Ben?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Aye. Michael?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And with that, we're going to give this a whirl. TextMyGov. All right. Budget update. A little early Christmas present potentially?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right.
No.
Never mind.
No Christmas presents, sorry.
What?
Um,
Are we still talking coal?
Again?
No, it's just not time to talk about Christmas. yet.
Charlie?
We're at Thanksgiving.
Well.
We have to do Thanksgiving, then we can talk about Christmas.
Okay.
I thought this would be a good idea, just to show you the changes that have been occurring since you last looked at this, and where we're at on it. And then, there's no action you need to take tonight. This will be on your next council agenda for a hearing about it, where we can really dig into whatever you need to, and then the meeting after that, you'll be asked to take some final action on it. So we still got some time. So what's happened, Why don't we just skip ahead to the draft budget changes summary, which is the last of the 3 pages. And you can see, based on the department lines, that virtually all of them have gone down except the clerk administration's gone a little bit up. But it didn't go up, it actually went down. So at the end of September meeting, we added we want this levy to be smaller by $50,000 line item in the clerk administration budget. And you could see that down below, that $50,000 now is gone from those revenues. So overall, most of the change here is the reduction in health insurance costs based on our estimate versus what our final was, but there's been a lot of other changes kind of gone back and forth on the expense side that make the expenses about $47,000 less than the revenue. We took the 50 placeholder out. We just took it out because we don't need it. And we added in quite a bit more revenue in the rec park and a little bit more in the golf course and a little bit more in the fire department. So the fire department revenue, we have a contract with the county, and there's a formula that we use to determine how much of our fire department budget the county levies to the extraterritorial area outside the city limits on our behalf, because we, of course, serve that area as well. And we don't usually know what the actual contribution is going to be in September because we haven't gotten all the final numbers yet. Now we do, so it's a little bit more than we had budgeted. That's nice. You can see the rec park, we had $1,590,200 in early September. Since then, we experienced a glorious September and a pretty nice October. And right now, the rec park's revenue is actually north of $1,650,000 for 2024. So we upped that number to $1,650,000 for next year. And I actually think if we have another successful summer, we should be able to beat that number as well. So that's up almost 60 grand. And then the golf course numbers, same thing. It 155 in September looked like, yeah, we can probably make that happen. And then we had September and a little bit of October. And they're up north of 165 now. So I think that 165 is probably what we should expect there. That feels pretty good. I don't think we're going to blow it out of the water next year unless something miraculous happens. But it's been a couple years in a row now that we've managed that number, so it feels like the right one to put in the budget. So the expenses went down, the revenues went up, and they went up dramatically, even though we had that 50 placeholder disappear, and for a net change of about $70,000. Now let's go back one page. What does that look like? That means a property tax levy of $1,132,634. Which is about a 4.9% increase over 2024. That's a little bit better than we looked at in September, and I think it can get better yet. So let's scroll up one more page, and I'll give you my one target that I have left that I know we're going to make a change, and then we'll talk about some other potential changes. The library line item budget for 2025 is $513,410 in this spreadsheet. That's what it was in September, but their actual number after the health insurance changes and other changes is more like 460 something. So that savings gets split 2 ways between us and the county if we decide to make those changes, which I think we will. So that takes another about $20,000 out of the levy, which actually then makes it just under 3% instead of just under 5%. Keep in mind, it's a $10 million budget. And we went from a number that was 4.9 that's like, yeah, maybe that's okay, but it seems a little high, to 2.9, and now everybody's thinking, hey, that's great. That was $20,000 of a $10 million budget. So that's a rounding error, right? You know, we're picking a number that we think is fair and is safe and is good for the community and is good for the services that we're providing. But $20,000, it's just not a big number to really worry about one way or the other. There's a couple of other changes we want to scrutinize a little bit more. We've been working with a consultant on HR for a while now, and we're just going to build that into the budget, but I'm not confident that it is built into this budget yet, so we might need to increase that a little bit to make sure that's there. We had a lot of additional projects than this year that we spent some money at the attorneys and the engineers, like all the developments that we've talked about. And there's been quite a few, and some of the conversations were tricky. And I think that's probably an anomaly. I think that we will continue to have some conversations like that, but I don't expect it to be as heavy as it was in 2024. But it made us think, like, are we good with this number, or do we want to bump it up a little bit? So that one we're probably going to bump up a little bit too. So I think,
And where
in
is
the
that?
balance,
Where is that in the budget?
most of it lives in the clerk administration line
Okay.
item of both of those things.
Okay.
There really aren't something that we charge directly to a department, since they kind of serve all the departments. So we plan to come back in December with a finished product, with the library number down, with a little more in the administration side. And then the last thing that we're still talking about is we don't have a lot of money built into this budget for the utility funds to directly pay the city hall debt payment. And they probably ought to be, because that's really half that building is their use, not the planning and zoning or street department. And since we keep those funds separate, we really need to have those funds contribute. It's built in as a rent payment right now, but I'm not sure it's adequate. It probably should be increased. Since we really don't know, we know the capital costs of this building very specifically, but we don't know the operating costs. I don't think we need to get this right year one, but that might be the place, if we really want to make the levy a particular number, that we go to make that happen. That's it for that update. Any questions?
I asked mine earlier, so I'm good. but-
Okay. Anybody want to make a comment or guidance or anything like that, or should we we'll see you in December?
No, it's good news.
Yeah.
That's good.
You
Great.
Happy about it?
Another
Thank you.
benefit to a nice fall. Yes, Ben?
No, just
Oh.
thank you.
All right, good, thanks a lot.
I've got some updates if you want me to go first, too.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen one more time. Our city code, when it comes to final plats, I don't know if this is just some sort of strange ceremonial thing, but it says final plats are submitted to the council, and the council refers them to the planning commission. We have received the final plat for Norris Gogan, and if you wouldn't mind just saying, please send it to the planning commission, we'll put it on their agenda for next week.
Okay. All right.
Head nods are fine with me.
Let's
Yeah.
do
All
that.
right,
Is
Can
that-
can you send that to us?
Yep, we'll send it out to you and everybody else. I mean, we just got it this afternoon. We'll prepare a report about it that'll go to the planning commission. They'll have it on their agenda for next week, and then it'll be on your agenda the following week, as long as all goes well. Okay. I'll leave that up for a second, but I'm going to show you one more thing. We have, put that up, and you can look at this too. And we'll send this around for folks to take a look at as well. We've received kind of our final product for the furniture for City Hall and the liquor store. We had a placeholder in the budget for the furniture in the building for $175,000. After our first, and this isn't our first look at it, this is our 8th look at it, but this is our first kind of package where we've got all the pieces picked out, all the finishes picked out, everything priced out. And it came in between the furniture and the shelving in the liquor store at about $160,000. So we want to start buying this stuff. Oh, that's terrific.
Ben says, yeah.
And
Ready to rock.
We're using cooperative purchasing contracts with Innovative Office Solutions, which means that all the pricing for this has already been bid out. It's compliant with our bidding requirements.
Okay.
But we're going to start submitting purchase orders to them next week, as long as everybody also is nodding their head on this, to get some of this going, because we need to get it ordered now if we want it to be ready in January. So happy to give anyone a more in-depth tour of this, and we'll send this out as well for folks to look at this, what furnishings are happening. I can tell you that the most expensive room to furnish is the council chambers. As I'm sure you won't be surprised, what we're ending up buying is a series of tables that are 4-foot tables, that each person's going to have one for their own station, but the tables are movable. They have a modesty shield like this dais does here in front of them, each table does. They'll have power and data connections individually on them for you to use, and then a task chair for those. We're also getting training tables, maybe 8 or 10 more of those like this that can be set up in the room. All those tables are movable, they're all flip top, they're all storable, so we can change the arrangement of the room however we want. We're
Chairs.
getting a lot of chairs.
You want to know what the chairs are like?
Task chairs, meaning like what you would have in an office setting for around the council chamber, for the tables where people are sitting. In the crowd, there'll be a mixture of, and we haven't decided yet, whether we want something that's a little bit like this, but more of a wireframe stackable for most of our chairs. But we also want some that are like this, that are a little more durable, a little more padding, a little nicer. And then there's a third option where it's actually quite a bit nicer with a flip-top seat so that they're nestable but not really stackable. And they're more of something that you might be able to be in a meeting for 3 hours and it would be okay to do that. Whereas that chair after 3 or 4 hours gets a little bit uncomfortable. So we're trying to make sure the room can be set up for like a conference for 20 or 30 people around a meeting or something like that. So that's we've got to figure out, okay, how many of each of these chairs do we want? Which ones do we want? How are we going to store it all? And so all those things are kind of going back and forth. And so there could still be some up and down on that final number that we're at, but I'm feeling really good about it. The design team, both at Innovative Office Solutions and LHB, has done a great job. It's going to look great.
Good.
Nice.
Did you need a motion for that, or you're good? You're within your...
Now,
your-
I feel like you've already approved this as a part of the project budget, but I wanted to just update you on it before we start spending that money. So if anybody's got any qualms, let me know, but otherwise, we're going to start submitting the purchase orders to get that going. And then, of course, before any checks are written, it runs through a city council meeting.
Yeah, and I don't really think about there being much in the way of storage, really. I mean, you're talking in-room storage, like basically just against the wall.
We have a specific room next to the council chambers that's designed to store furniture. It's not
okay.
very big, we don't have a lot of space for that, but its intention is, well, when those tables aren't being used, they're in that room with some of our extra chairs.
Okay. Good deal. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Be fun to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Is that your updates?
Yep.
You have more?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Michael?
Yeah, we had a library meeting. I wasn't able to make it, but it was a pretty quick meeting. Set the calendar for next year and approved the holidays for the coming calendar year. And then actually started talking about reviewing the administrator, so.
Review process or however that
Yeah.
is, yeah,
Go
okay.
back over that again. So that's
Okay.
started. So we'll have something more to talk about that. And that would be it.
Well, actually, director.
Director, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I
yeah.
was thinking.
Okay.
yeah, right.
All right, thank you. Bill?
Very quiet. I have nothing.
Okay. Ben?
I don't have anything either.
All right. Craig?
Yeah, I went to a Parks and Trails meeting last week. A lot of the conversation was more like organizational issues that we're facing. Of course, budgeting as far as hiring a full-time person and what that person would be actually doing. Also, what came up at the meeting quite a few times was the sawtooth wolf topic, which I think, maybe in the next couple of months here, we can probably just kind of, I think we already did talk about the ins and outs we already rated it, what we're going to be doing in 2025, but I think some more communication through the county on how that process is going to be in the near future. I think we've decided to put it low on our priority list. I don't know where it is on the county board's priority list. I know that the Parks and Trail, there's some people that want to push it to maybe a more of a topic to start discussion on, but that remains to be seen, I guess. So I'll keep everybody posted on how that's being viewed currently, I guess. Other than that, I haven't been to a few meetings prior to the last week, so I just trying to get caught up on some of the issues that have been going on with trails, and it's nice to have the meetings. We do get representation from the DNR and the U.S. Forestry, so that kind of helps to give us some ideas what they're doing in our community and how their services and what they have to provide for us to let other people know about. So it's kind of nice to be part of that. Other than that, that's all I have from that last meeting. We have another meeting, I think, was that January? Every 2 months, I guess. So we'll have another meeting in a couple months. January. That's all I got.
Who from the county participates? A bunch of people, or like any county employees, or?
Well, we have a Dave Mills, county commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Is on it, and then we have who took over. Well, Tim is helping a little bit now, but he's going to be retiring. And so
Mitch Travis.
Mitch, I keep calling him Matt, but Mitch Travis is taking the reins from Tim right now. And then we have who are the members? There's four other members. And they say they have a list of other people that want to be on it, so I don't know if they're going to increase how many people are going to be on this or not. A lot of it is just to have a group of people that are connected with the county and the state and the feds and the city, so that when organizations come up with certain issues or may not be problems, but they may be positive things too that pertain to parks, trails, outdoor activities that are going on within our county, they can go to somebody and say, hey, we got a problem with this bridge on a trail that got washed out. We need to repair this. Where can we go for some money? How can we find some funding? Could be a bike trail, hiking trail, stuff like that. That's kind of, I think, the importance of the group on the surface. I mean, we don't have any owned parks, so to speak, within our community. They're pretty much owned by the state and the feds, but they're visited by an awful lot of people, and a lot of our outside areas get used quite a bit throughout the course of the year. So maintaining these things is pretty much the most important thing right now, I guess.
Right, that's a broader perspective than I was thinking. I've been thinking about the bike trails and some of those things, but that certainly puts a bigger spin on what needs to be assisted with, in charge of. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I went to the CEC meeting the other week and presented our proposal. Got very positive comments from everyone, so we can move, kind of get that moved forward. I'll try to work with you, Patrick, to get that form just switched over. And everything in the original form is in our new one. It wasn't anything. And then we can create that guideline thing, and we'll talk a little bit more with them that they didn't, they're still talking, and that's their first look. But overall, comments were positive, and they appreciated the effort that we made on that. I was going to meet today with the ISD 166 teachers, but another commitment. So I'm meeting with them Monday. They're all excited to do Mayor for a Day, which is due December 13th. And I'll get Callie asked me Hawkins for the radio. She's excited too, so we'll get that rolling. I attended a webinar the other week from the state on some of the new programs and funding for housing, including infrastructure and local housing trust funds. And there's one other piece. One of the programs is set more for the metro area, and one is set for rural, so I tried to keep myself focused on for us. And the two keys for me is I'm really interested in local housing trust funds and what you can do with those, but then the infrastructure help as well. So then I have a meeting on the 2nd with Jason, because I know he follows all this, and just kind of have him give me a little primer to make sure I'm kind of on track with that. And then, of course, we had this cannabis updating about forms and whatever, and that was good to get. So that's what I got.
Great.
Yeah.
So wait, I just want to ask, so the local housing trust fund, and what else was it you said?
They also have some money now for infrastructure
Infrastructure. And
development. I'm not saying it's a lie, I still gotta try to understand it, and it
Yeah.
varies, like how big your unit is that you're doing, and the whole thing.
Well,
They-
anything's a help.
And they sent the webinar and all the materials now that it's done with, so I can pass it on to anybody if you want to weed through it. And then, this is the state, but then once again, they give this nonprofit Minnesota Housing Finance Agency to actually disperse the money, and do the
okay.
mechanics of it. And that's where you get the layers that's like, who's what going on there. But it's just a start, because in passing, some months ago, Jason had said, there is money for infrastructure. Like, where is it and where is this? And I'm quite certain this newer little thing is what he was referencing.
What department is this through?
Oh, sure, you'd asked me that. I want to say it was deed, but
That's what I would
let me
say,
go
but
look
I
at
don't
the
know.
slide tops again to know for
I'm
sure.
just curious. I just,
Yeah, I can share all
No,
that.
It's good stuff for us.
Yeah, yeah, I hope it has something positive on that, so. And then how was did you guys have that meeting with the East Bay, with the Army Corps was that Friday?
Mhm.
How'd that go? And did Margaret and Krishna?
Krishna was there. Margaret had another meeting she wasn't able to attend. I think it went
Watkins.
great. They're excited about participating.
Good.
We're happy with the progress, and so what we said is the next thing we're going to do is just local group meet and talk about how to move forward on it.
Okay, good.
Great.
So the Army Corps, and, so did Stephen say if he got that one grant in?
We did get a couple of grants in, we're looking at another one to get in. I'm not sure we're going to yet. I think we're going to wait and see
Okay.
how this plays out.
Ste-
Just figuring out, who's going to be able to match what is
For the
is a real
dollars.
mess on it. And it's a big number, so we want to make sure we get it right before we move forward.
Well, a big thank you to Soil and Water. Stephen Janis, he's done a lot of work to try to find us some grant dollars and monies.
Yep.
The thing that's
They're a great
always
partner.
very hard to do, so I
Yeah.
appreciate their efforts a lot with this, so. All right, I think we are all set. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. Have a
Night,
good
Chris.
Thanksgiving.